Well, hello, everybody. I am Will Brogan from Commercial Truck Training, now powered by One Nexus. And today I'm going to take you through our concept of reciprocity, which is putting a focus on going first, taking those actions that lead to reciprocal nature coming back in return to you. Just a little bit about us, real quick. Commercial Truck Training was founded by Coach Ken Taylor in 2000, and we were acquired by One Nexus, who's done great work in the fleet cycling, fleet management, and fleet strategy areas, among other things, earlier this year. So there's a reciprocal nature with our acquisition as well. But today we're going to focus on some of those proactive things that you can do so that reciprocity can come back to you naturally in the right times as you focus on your business. I like to start every training out with what we call a motivational moment, and something like this, a quote, is really, really nice about reciprocity here. You guys are all familiar with the person who said this, was Zig Ziglar. You can have everything in life that you want if you will just help enough other people get what they want. Think about that for a moment. If you put the focus on helping others, eventually things will come back to you and you will have the opportunity to take care of your own life in the right way and have a lot of people volunteering to help you out in that reciprocal process. So with that, I'm going to tell you just a quick story to really illustrate the mindset that we focus on here. I mentioned Coach Ken Taylor at the beginning. And one day, a few years ago, 7, 8 years ago, perhaps, we were struggling actually with people actually taking some of our content and distributing it without asking. And it happened that we stumbled upon a manufacturer doing this, a manufacturer rep that was sharing our content to their network. And Ken and this person got in touch with one another. And I personally, being operations, wasn't too happy about it. We were trying to protect everything. And Ken had the conversation with this gentleman. This gentleman said, "Hey, I've been using your stuff. I've been crediting you, but I realized I didn't reach out for permission." I wasn't too fond of how everything went down in that sense, but Ken, being the ever first-class person that he is, said it was fine, wouldn't worry about it, anything like that. And the phone call ended. And Ken looked at me and said, "Watch this," and sent that person 10 more free articles that they could use however they chose. If you can imagine stuff being taken away and then a little bit more coming into play too, that didn't make us too happy. But I'll tell you what, 1 week later, we got a call from that same person. And that person said, "I am so grateful for what you did for us. We would like to do training with you all throughout the country, touching every single one of our dealerships." And that happens to be one of our, to this day, best relationships with a manufacturer. So that gives you an example of somebody going first and taking the lead in the process of reciprocity, that I hope we laugh about it now, certainly, but I hope that really illustrates just the power that you have in taking that first step. So let's get into a couple of points here. Let's talk about the power of actually going first in this process. Why does this actually matter? Well, think about it. We're in a competitive industry. Everybody has all kinds of different value, and we are in an industry where relationships are at the forefront. So you have to set yourself apart. And one of the ways to do that, again, is going first by helping others as much as possible. In fact, in the trainings that we do, we have a mindset that we have everybody write down within probably the first 10 or 15 minutes of actual content. And that is having the mindset constantly of what is best for my customer and their business. And if you focus on that, the going first aspect of all of this will come naturally because you'll look for opportunities to do that. But we'll get into that a little bit later. So what are some examples from our industry that can work on a regular basis where you can take the lead in this process? Well, if you think about it, you're probably aware of them already. They're probably fundamental, but working them into your day-to-day is something that everybody needs to work on. Here are a couple of examples. A free consultation or assessment of their fleet, whether that's total cost of ownership, their cycling, the fuel degradation, maybe it's bringing a service manager out to actually give an on-site fleet analysis, something along those lines. You can also provide plenty of tips, advice, resources to a prospect if they're entering into the buying process that can allow them to make better decisions and use you as a resource moving forward even if it's a scenario where the product that you have isn't the right fit for them. Again, focusing on what's best for their business. And then also too, if there's any technical issues or anything that came up, maybe they didn't buy a truck from you, but you're giving an opportunity to fix things within your service department. Just three quick examples of ways that you can go first in this process of reciprocity. And then, of course, we want to focus a little bit on the long-term benefits too, in which the more you give, eventually the more you'll receive. But if you are focused on giving more value, more more opportunity for a business to succeed, then they will see you again as a resource that they can rely on and ideally come back to you for their vehicle needs, whether that's through service, sales, so on and so forth. But making sure that you are building that process for the long term with those customers and prospects and putting the focus on that. Now, how do you go about doing this? Let's talk about this. Number one, on identifying opportunities, have an opportunistic mindset toward helping others. Think about it. Go back to the lessons that we all learned as a kid of helping that person across the street, or if somebody is walking through a busy office and they trip and fall and all of the papers that they're holding fly out everywhere. We are naturally inclined to help out. So we should just take that focus to the next step, where if you see an opportunity to help somebody, go ahead and go do it. If you spot something where, hey, I don't like the way the vehicle was painted, let's go ahead and redo that. Or if you see an opportunity where a business would really benefit from joining an association, make that call. Better yet, call the executive director. Say, hey, I may have somebody new that would join this association that could really help you. Things like that, where you actually take the step of not just recognize it, but then acting on having that opportunistic mindset. Another component is actively listening. Now, this one we come across in all shapes and sizes all over the place. One of the great examples that I can give you is service advisors in particular. Ever watch your service lane? Go watch the service advisors, and as busy as they are, the good ones will stop what they're doing at their desk and they will maintain eye contact with their customers to make sure that those customers know that they are really being listened to. Another suggestion when it comes to actively listening to set up the opportunity for reciprocity down the road is ask to take notes. One of the reasons that we love this is to give people like you, the salespeople and others in the industry, an opportunity to get as many facts correct as possible, so that when you go to follow through with a customer or prospect, you have everything down to a T exactly the way they said that. So naturally, summarizing is part of that too, to show that you're actively listening and you have everything as correct as possible. Another angle here, and hopefully this helps kind of round out this idea of being opportunistic, is putting the pro in proactive. Again, still looking for those opportunities, but taking it to the next step of actually acting on, hey, I can help this person out. I am a professional, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. I am indeed going to put the pro in proactive and look for those ways to make sense. And I want to add something to that in particular. If you have information, put that point up there. If you have information that you can share with somebody that can help their business be better, maybe there's issues with lead times or bodies, or you guys are the experts, you know exactly the challenges that you're facing, finance questions, things like that. Be generous with that information. Make sure that you share that with anybody that comes in contact that makes sense, because that's showing that, hey, I am concerned about your business and what's right for you. We'll worry about the rest of it later. Taking that opportunity to go first. And then on the back end, you will eventually have an opportunity to accept reciprocity coming back to you. And I would imagine, outside of the obvious of being able to actually have a customer buying vehicles from you, you could see a lot of different ways that reciprocity could come back into play. Maybe it's somebody sending lunch to your service department or your sales team, something like that, where you have an opportunity to say thank you. Couple things to keep in mind when it comes to accepting reciprocity and doing so in a graceful manner. Number one, don't expect an immediate return. That is absolutely not the focus here. If it happens, awesome. And sometimes that there are opportunities for that. But generally speaking, that reciprocal nature of somebody coming back to you, it may take a while. It may take months. It may take even years. Sometimes things just don't line up appropriately. So don't expect an immediate return, and don't have that proactive step with the idea of, hey, I'm going to get something out of this right away. Remember, we're focused on the long term and the long term relationship component of that. Another component is trusting the process. You guys all know this is not an event type of sale with what you do. This is a process. So you're already naturally inclined to have several different touch points of sales calls along the way, of focus on bringing value to somebody. So this is no different when it comes to reciprocity and relationships. We are trying to build it over the long term. So there's a natural process that goes with that. Therefore, trust should be involved. And you should also be focused on trust too, just as far as executing on that word in particular. And then when something does come up, when somebody does reach out to help you, or they give you a nice gift in return or something like that, or hey, maybe they buy that fleet that you were finally looking for and they finally crossed that line, graciously accept everything that comes your way. You don't want to be that person that blows off a really nice gift, something like that, where somebody really took the time to show you their appreciation. You want to make sure that you are fully invested in that process with somebody where, hey, I am really, really thankful. And hey, whatever they give you back to you, it might not even apply to you, your life. It might be something, hey, maybe you're even allergic to. But again, it's that thought that counts, that is so important throughout this entire process of being reciprocal with each other. Do like to have a couple of options here when we ask a few questions in our trainings. Feel free, we do have a couple of extra minutes here. I'm a little bit ahead of where I thought I would be, so feel free to enter something into the chat if you'd like with these two questions that I'm going to share with you. It's a little bit of a call to action here for you and focusing on going first in this process. The first one is, how can you start thinking differently about your relationships with your customers and prospects as it relates to everything that you've heard today with reciprocity, everything that you've heard in this particular presentation with going first? That's something that if I could suggest, you just put a little mind on that. Hey, there's something that I can do for somebody where I can take the lead on the process and it will make a difference for their business, or maybe the person itself down the line. Maybe it will make their life a little bit easier. Maybe it will solve a problem that they have. Maybe it will save them money, or maybe you're just doing it out of the goodness of your heart because you want to turn that customer or prospect into a very good friend. Certainly see plenty of examples of that over the years in this industry. And then the second question that I want to ask you is, can you focus on one customer today, over these next few minutes anyway, that you could help? You could go first on something without asking anything in return. That's a great way to kind of round out the focus here of you taking the lead and going first on something. And then when they do come back with something reciprocal, that you are ready, willing, and able to accept gracefully in that process. Anybody have anyone that they want to share? Like I said, we built in a little bit of chat time here, so feel free to input anything if you'd like. I want to check the room real quick. Okay, good there. I want to offer one other suggestion for you, and that is this. You can see I've got something in my hand now. I'm not going to open this. You're not going to get that much insight here, but consider keeping yourself a journal of the acts that you've done of going first, and then reflect on those results over time. And the reason why you want to do that, it's no different than, say, a gratitude journal, which actually is what this particular one that I'm holding is. That's something that, really think about that. Now, maybe it doesn't go into a journal. Maybe it goes into a notepad that you use on a daily basis. Maybe it goes into your CRM and the notes with a customer or something along those lines. But if you focus on logging the acts of you going first in a reciprocal nature, or just good things that you have done for customers, prospects, partners, etc., throughout your time, and you review those on a fairly regular basis. It doesn't have to be every week or every month, but maybe quarterly, maybe semi-annually, maybe at the end of the year when the rush is done with 179, it's actually maybe the beginning of January, and you're setting yourself into the next phase of just go back and look at the log of things that you've done to help other people. And the reason why is because you'll start to feel very, very good about yourself. And it will become a little bit of a highlight reel of all the wonderful things that you've done as a person throughout the past year, past however period, however long that would be in that scenario that you're reviewing it. That's something that when you write it down, physically write, it will really help you remember those moments where you were going first in a scenario like that. We do have a couple of chats. Just want to make sure we're there. 5 minutes left. Good to go. Excellent. Appreciate that. So consider keeping that journal. I actually have several of these for lots of different reasons. They're all different colors, and they're kept different places. This is something that has really helped me, and I think it goes very, very nicely in this reciprocal nature and focus on going first. Catherine, I am a little bit ahead of schedule here, at least by a couple of minutes, but I'm all set here. We got that covered. So if anybody does have any questions, we've got a few minutes here. Otherwise, I really appreciate that. And I want you again to focus on one customer that you could do one thing today, or prospect or partner, somebody where you can take the lead, you can go first in this process, where you do something for them that is very, very helpful for them, their business, their everyday life, their family, something like that. Be opportunistic in focusing on going first for your connections.